Megilat Ester Perek Bet. The big question of this perek is, do we hide our identity or do we flaunt it? You know, every Jew goes through the question, am I proud of my Judaism? Do I want to show everybody that I'm Jewish? Do I wear a kippah? Do I wear a Magen David? Do I wear a chai? Do I wear a tzitzis, a skirt? Or am I trying to hide my Judaism? This question is asked 10 times more in Chutz La'aretz. It's also asked maybe sometimes in Israel. But the real question is, are we hiding who we really, really are? Or do we show it to the world and be proud of it? And that's the question that's asked here in the Megillah. In Megilat Ester Perek Bet Pasuk Yud, it says about Esther, Lo Yigida Esther et Ama ve'et Moledeta. She doesn't say who her nation is and where she's born, where she comes from Israel. Ki Mordechai tziva alea asher lo tagid. Mordechai told her, don't say who you are. You know, a lot of times before we go to Chutz La'aretz, we hide shirts that might be with Hebrew printing, or maybe we'll put a hat over our kippah, or not wear a kippah, or put away our tzitzis. Are we ashamed of who we are? Are we embarrassed, or are we scared? Or do we say, no, we're Jews and we're proud of it? It's a question. It's a real question. Before we get into what we should be doing today or not doing today, let's see how Chazal saw this. Rashi says that the reason that Mordechai told Esther not to say who she was is because he was scared that if Achashverosh knows that she comes from Am Yisrael, that she's a descendant of Shaul HaMelech, royalty, he's going to want to keep her. So Rashi's view is that Mordechai did everything in his power to make Esther not say who she was and where she comes from, because he didn't want her to end up intermarrying and staying in Achashverosh's kingdom. The Ralbag says something exactly the opposite. The Ralbag says like this. Why did Mordechai tell Esther not to say who she was? Because Mordechai knew that she's going to save the Jewish people, and he wanted her to stay in the house and the kingdom of Achashverosh. And he said, if you say who you are, Achashverosh is going to know, he's going to know that you are from a nation that is scattered all around the world, Bazui nation, a nation that lost everything. He's not going to want you. Hide who you are, right? Don't say that you're Jewish. He doesn't like Jews. Say, I'm a citizen of the world, right? Be like Miss America, right? I'm a citizen of the world peace. Don't say that you're Jewish. Don't say that you're Israel. In order to stay there, in order to save the Jews. Rabbeinu Bechaye, another Mefarish, says that's not the reason at all. He says the reason is in order to keep and maintain your Yiddishkeit in the house, in the kingdom of Achashverosh, you need to be very quiet about your traditions, about your halacha. If you want to keep kosher, don't say I'm Jewish. If you want to keep Shabbos, don't say I'm Jewish. Keep Shabbos in privacy. Eat kosher in privacy. Meaning, if Esther would say who she is and what she is, Achashverosh would say, not in my house, not under my roof. If you want to be my queen, you have to be my queen. I have to be your king. There is no Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The buck stops here with me, with Achashverosh. So he said, if she wanted to keep her Yiddishkeit, she couldn't say where she's coming from. But the real question about today, do we say our identity? Do we carry our flag, whether it's the Israeli flag, whether it's Torah flag, whether it's mitzvot flag, or are we embarrassed of it? Or we're scared to say who we are? Before I get into my hashkafa, to my idea, I want to talk about a little comics that became a very, very big and successful book and movie, Superman. Superman was written by two Jews that immigrated to the States, and Superman is the Jewish story. A very, very short story about Superman. Superman was born on Krypton. Obviously, it's not a real story, but he comes to Krypton is exploding. His parents send him to Earth in order to survive. He gets to Earth. He has supernatural powers, and he dresses up like an average American person, puts on a hat, a suit, a tie, glasses, goes to work, and nobody knows that he is Superman. And when something happens, when he needs to be heroic and to save people, he goes into a telephone booth, which is something that obviously this generation has no idea what that is. But he would hide himself, change his clothes very, very quickly with super speed, and then go save the day as Superman. Once he's done, he changes back into Clark Kent, a regular person. That is the Jewish story in Chutz La'aretz. That's the Jewish story. For 2,000 years, we didn't have a state. We couldn't walk around as proud Jews. And people would hide their identity, okay? Like Clark Kent, you'd go to work, you'd have colleagues, non-Jewish, and it would all be okay. You would be German, and at home you would be Jewish. You'd be American, and at home you would be Jewish. You'd be Taimani, Iraqi, Persian. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. That's the way you would show yourself towards the outside. And inside, you would act as a Jew. I'll never forget my grandfather, that he moved to the States right before the Holocaust actually started from Germany. He showed me a siddur that he had at home. That in the siddur, there's a prayer for the government of Germany. I'm talking about the government of Germany prior to the Holocaust. And I remember my grandfather said, "You see this, Ari?" He takes out with his German accent. He said, "This is a living proof that the Jewish people aren't the smartest people in the world." Right? The fact that we can make a prayer for Goyish kingdoms. I know it says Heveh mitpalel shlomash shel malchut in the Gemara. It says you have to daven for the malchut wherever you are in the world in order for them to make sure that we remain law and order, seder. But bemet, it's a disgrace that people that they salute the flag that's not their flag, that they pray for a king or a queen or a president. It just doesn't make sense. It's such galus, it can drive me crazy. We have the capability of living today in our own state. And when we walk around here, when we say in benching, we want to walk around here with pride. Komemiyut, that you stand straight. You walk around the streets today in Israel, you see young people, boys and girls, they're proud of who they are. They're Jews, they're Israelis. These kids are defending the Jewish people. Every 18-year or 19-year-old girl today is like Queen Esther in the Hamal, in a war room, dealing with the Air Force, the tanks, whether it's in the battlefield, the boys, the girls. We are the heroes of Klal Yisrael today. And you think about it, it's really mind-boggling how there are people still living in Chutz La'aretz that they can't walk around with a Magen David or a kippah or tzitzis. They're embarrassed or scared. And I understand that. I'm not coming to shtach them. It's scary sometimes. You could be walking in a campus. You could be walking in the mall, outside your house. It could be scary. And I'm not saying anybody should do anything that's pikuach nefesh. But if you're scared to walk around with your identity, double think where you're living. And now I know in Israel, we have wars, there's terrorism, it's all true. But here, every single thing we do is for the good of Klal Yisrael, not just for this generation. Let's look 100 years down the line, 1,000 years down the line. We're here building up the foundation for the Jewish future. The state of Israel is the biggest project of the Jewish people today. When on Purim we put on masks, it's because when we celebrate Purim, we're celebrating a galut, I just made up a word, a galut holiday. It's a galut holiday. We see that because we don't even say Hallel. Every other holiday, we say Hallel because it has to do with the land of Israel. The Jews coming back to the land of Israel, whether it's Yetziat Mitzrayim, whether it's Hanukkah. But on Purim, we're celebrating the fact that we weren't killed. But did we come back in masses to Eretz Yisrael afterwards? Unfortunately, we did not. We didn't learn the message of Purim. So we put on masks in order to hide who we are. Megilat Ester, Seter, hiding. We're hiding our identity. This is the last generation of masks. People might celebrate wearing masks in Purim in another 100 years, but on a deeper level, this is the last year that we have to be embarrassed or scared to show who we are. Am Yisrael Chai, we're back in our homeland. Be proud of it. Be part of it. Am Yisrael Chai.